right, so for chapter 8 review, we're going to start with number 1. We have g of x, which is 2x plus 4, and f of x, which is x squared minus 3x. And they're going to want us to find the subtraction of the two functions, okay? So f minus g of x. Now, it's really important that you guys rewrite the translation of this, okay? So f minus g of x is the same as f of x minus g of x. I think that's really important that you guys rewrite them, because when you rewrite them in that form, you can actually see directly what they want you to do. Get f of x and then subtract g of x, right? Now, f of x is x squared minus 3x. So I'm going to write that down. Okay, x squared minus 3x. You'll notice I put them in parentheses, and I do that on purpose because if I have to subtract, which I am, I'll know that I have to distribute, okay? So minus g of x is 2x plus 4. And here's that subtraction that I told you, right? I'm going to have to distribute it over. See, if I didn't put parentheses, I might get this wrong because I'm not going to think, oh, multiply in, right? But with parentheses, it makes it a little bit more obvious. So let's go ahead and simplify this. I have x squared minus 3x minus 2x minus 4. Okay, what does the middle simplify into? The negative 3x minus 2x.
Negative 5x.
All right, so negative 5x, thank you, minus 4, and you're done, okay? From what my other classes have told me, and I don't know if you guys agree, they say these problems are easy. They just take a while, right? They're not like really fast. Some take longer than others, but they say, but they're not that hard to do. So I do agree with them. You're just kind of combining like terms, and that's about it. Okay, but yeah, sometimes it does take a little while to simplify stuff. But there you go. Question number 1. Like I said, there will be 5 of these types, okay? And I just happen to go over 2 of them with you guys today. But there's going to be 5 of these types. So here's another one. I'll leave that answer up there for you guys. So we have h of x, which is x plus 1, and m of x, which is 2x minus 3. And I want you to find h times m of x. So remember, important that you translate it, right? So h times m of x is equal to h of x times m of x. Okay? So h of x times m of x. So h of x is x plus 1. So again, I'm going to put this in parentheses. And m of x is 2x minus 3. What method do I use to multiply this? What is it called? Distribution, right? Some teachers call it FOIL, right? But FOIL doesn't always work if you have more than just 4 terms. So distribution is a more general term, okay? We're going to distribute the x first, and then the other one second, okay? So the 1 is going to go in second. So we'll start with the green arrows, okay? So x times 2x is what?
2x to the power 2.
All right, 2x squared, good. And then x times negative 3?
Negative 3x.
All right. And then we did the green ones, right? So now we're going to do the purple arrows here. So 1 times 2x, that's, yeah, it's a positive 2x. And 1 times negative 3 is our negative 3, right? Combining your middle terms, a negative 3x plus a 2x, what does that give me?
Negative x.
Negative x, good. Minus 3, and you're done. Again, nothing mind-blowing or anything like that, right? It's just a lot of simplification. That's what we're doing. A lot of simplification. So make sure that you remember to distribute on multiplication problems and simplify after. Okay? So, any questions so far? All right. So, the next one is going to look very similar. You can see example 3 near the bottom. Right now, I'll bring it up. But there's a small difference to it. Instead of it being like f plus g of x, I'm doing f plus g of 2. there are 4 types of these problems on your quiz, okay? So 4 types of them. So you're going to have to plug in a number instead of just simplifying terms. I personally think these are easier because you get to just do an actual answer like a 10 or a 6 or something like that. But you know, some people prefer the other one. So we'll see. So let me start this problem off here. So f plus g of 2 is equal to f of 2 plus g of 2. All right, so f of 2, that's the first thing I'm going to find. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the f of x function, which is right there. And I'm just going to find f of 2. Okay, f of 2 means plug in a 2 into that equation, right? So that's 3 times 2, which is 6, right? So good. So we're just going to put 6 plus g of 2. Well, g of 2 means plug a 2 into the equation, right? So 2 minus 2, that's 0. So my answer is 6. And that's it. See, I like these better. There's less variables all over the place and stuff, right? It's just numbers that you have to deal with. So for me, I've always preferred doing these types of problems instead of like numbers 1 and 2. Okay, it still uses the same ideas, just this one's being done with an actual value, the other ones are being done in general, right? So, so in total, the last 3 examples that I just showed you add up to about 10 problems on your quiz. So there's going to be about 10 problems like that. 4 of the ones with numbers, like the one I just did, and 6, I think, 5 or 6 of the ones up towards the top where you got to simplify. So you'll multiply, add, or subtract them, stuff like that. Okay? So that's about half of your test, just right there. Now the rest of your test has to deal with a couple other things, but we'll get to that. But we're going to do number 4 really quick, just as one more little practice of those 4 types of problems you're going to see. Then we'll move on to the inverse questions and domain and ranges and stuff. We only have 6 examples, just so you know, okay? So we're halfway there. All right. So s of t is t squared, and m of t is t minus 3. So we're going to find s times m of 4. So instead of a variable, we're plugging in a number. So s times m of 4 is equal to s of 4 times m of 4. Okay, so I'm just plugging it into my equations, right? So s of 4, what do I get for s of 4? It's going to be 4 squared. What is that?
16.
All right, so 16. And then the other one will be m of 4. So I have to plug in a 4 where the letter t is, right? So it's going to be 4 minus 3. So that's going to give me a 1. So s of 4 was 16. M of 4 was 1. And 16 times 1 is 16. So we're done. There you go. Again, I think these are nice problems to have, right? If you're going to have any type of problem to do, I'd rather do 16 of these type of problems than a whole bunch of other types, right? Because these, for me, tend to be a little bit easier. Maybe you prefer the other ones, that's fine. All right, any questions on any of these that we've done so far? Okay, plugging in values, adding, subtracting them, plugging in numbers into functions, stuff like that. All right, question number 5. So given f of x equals to negative 2x plus 3, find its inverse. So there's 3 problems like this on your quiz. Okay? So 3 different types. And the answer to this is going to be one that ends up in a big fraction, and then I'm going to show you how to break it apart just in case. All right? So it's a good example. So you can see 2 different ways to write the answer. But remember, there was 4 steps to this. Okay? The first step was to get your original function, so I'm going to write the original function, and to change f of x to y. That was step number 1. Okay? Change it so you have y equals to something, not f of x equals to something. What was the second step?
Solve for y.
That's third.
Switch y and x.
Switch y and x, right? And literally switch them. I don't mean do it like by adding or subtracting. No. Just switch them. So x is equal to negative 2y plus 3. And then, like you said, Anthony, now we solve for y. Okay? So let's go ahead and do that. We'll subtract 3 on both sides. So we get x minus 3 equals negative 2y. And we still don't have y by itself, so we have to get rid of that negative 2 in front of it. So let's divide it by negative 2. So here's my answer. Well, almost. There was a fourth step, which was to rewrite your y in an inverse notation. So we started with f of x. That means y has to be f inverse of x. Now I know I'm writing it backwards and my OCD is going crazy right now because I want to flip it around, but I'm just going to leave it alone. Okay? This would be the correct answer. Okay, there's nothing wrong with this answer whatsoever. But it may not be an answer you see on a multiple choice test. Because they may have decided, you know what? We're going to break that into 2 small fractions instead. And we talked about this yesterday, right? How to break it apart. So, f inverse of x is equal to, what you're going to do is you're going to get these first 2 terms right here. What's x divided by negative 2? It's a negative something. Alright, I showed you guys like x divided by 2, you can rewrite it as what? Well, this would be 1 over 2x, and yeah, what you said was negative 1/2 x would be right. Right? So, and whenever you divide a letter by a number, you just write it as a fraction in the front. Okay? So a negative half x. And then you're going to divide negative 3 divided by negative 2. Well, what's negative 3 divided by negative 2? Well, maybe you're thinking, well, they don't divide each other. So it would just be a 3 over 2, right? And since they're both negative, it has to be a positive answer. So positive 3/2. And that would be another answer that's accepted as a solution. Okay? So we just broke it apart. That's all we did. Okay, we didn't do anything special. We just broke it apart. Now, sometimes people think like, oh, I don't remember ever learning that stuff. Like, you did, okay? You learned it many, many, many years ago. And even in 9th grade, most likely, you saw it, maybe 8th grade, when you took your Math 1, there was a property that said, if you have 2 numbers that are being added or subtracted in the numerator, and you're dividing it by one thing, just one term, then you are able to split them apart. Okay? They tell you can split them apart. That's all I'm doing. I'm just breaking them apart according to that definition. Okay? So, yeah, either answer is fine. Okay? Bless you. I prefer the one on the left because it's less work. Okay, I'm lazy. Like one of the best things about mathematics is that if you're lazy, math is perfect for you because we don't write sentences. We use symbols and stuff like that to write sentences, right? So it's less work for us to do. But yeah, I'm kind of lazy, so I'd prefer the answer on the left. But if I had to, I can do the one on the right. Okay, but that's completely up to you. And obviously, it's up to the test. If the test wants to give you split answers, then you got to go with the green solution. If it wants to just give you a fraction, then go with the blue one. They're both right, but they just look different. Okay? So here's the last problem, guys. And I'm going to ask you not to worry about doing any of the drawing right now. Okay? And you don't even have to do anything. Don't write anything down. I'm going to leave it there. Okay? What I want you to do is I want you to focus on the actual work. Okay, and I hope this mic holds up here. But you're going to have questions that deal with just A and B, and then you're going to have questions that deal with just C and D. They're going to give you pictures, okay? And then I know for a fact there's like 4 or 5 questions where they say, here's a picture, what's the domain? Here's a picture, what's the range? This picture, what's the range, right? They're not going to ask you for both, but they'll ask you for one, okay? And then there's going to be pictures, I think only 2, where they're going to say, all right, here's a picture, what's f of negative 2? What's f of 0? What's f of negative 5? And you're going to have to use the picture to help you, okay? So number 6 altogether probably is about 7 to 8 types of questions on your quiz. Okay, this covers all of them. So I wanted to do one for you guys that has everything in it, so you can see what it would look like. Okay, but they'll do like these only, or maybe this one, or maybe this one on your quiz. Okay, they're not going to do domain and range; they'll just do domain, or maybe just range, stuff like that. So all right, let's look at part A. So you can see a picture that I drew. I labeled all the points and everything. I told you that the function is called f of x. And I'm asking you, what is f of negative 2? So f of negative 2, what it means is, if x is negative 2, what is y? So if you look at your picture, where is negative 2? Well, it's all the way here, right? I'm going to kind of highlight it here in case people are watching the video, they're not able to see me moving, but there it is. There's my negative 2, right? What's the y value for negative 2? Negative 1. So all I'm going to do is write negative 1, and that's it. They're just asking you, what's your y value for it, okay? What about f of 0? 5, yeah, because f of 0 is up here. Okay, so f of 0 is right there. So the y value for it is 5. So, I mean, I don't think that's too hard, right? They're telling you the x value, they're just saying, what's the y value? So if I were to ask you, what's f of negative 5, what should you say? Negative 3, right? It's right there. Okay, f of negative 5 would be negative 3, okay? So there you go. Now here's a trick question. What if I ask you what f of 6 is? I told you it's a trick question. Think about it. F of 6. Sorry? Positive 1, and I tell you that that's actually not right. But that's what you want to say, right? Because that's where the point is. I'm going to tell you f of 6 doesn't exist. Why does it not exist? Well, you see this empty circle? Does that mean it exists? No, right? That's just like a hole, right? So, yeah, if there's a hole there, it doesn't exist. Okay? You're not going to get that type of question on your quiz, just so you know. Okay? There's no trick questions or anything. I just wanted to ask you just to see. All right. Domain. Now, domain is how far left does it go? How far right does it go? Domain is x values. Okay? X values. How far to the left does it go? So, I mean, keeps going right to the left side. How far left does it go? Negative 5. Thank you. How far to the right does it go? To 6. Should I include negative 5? Yes. Why? Because what? It's filled in circle, right? It's a filled in circle right here. A nice dark circle filled in. So there we go. What about 6? Should I include it? No. You guys see that open circle right there? Okay. This open circle right here next to 6-1 says it doesn't exist there. There's nothing there. It's just like a placeholder, but it's empty, right? So don't include your 6. Okay, remember, if you're wondering, why am I using negative 5 and 6? Those are the x values for those points that are furthest left and furthest right. Remember, domain is x values. I'll put it right here. That way you're aware, like, oh, the x values, that's what they are. Range is your y values. How low does it go? How high does it go? So how low does my graph go? What's the lowest y value that you see? -3, good. And what's my highest y value that you see? A +5. Should I include my -3? Yeah, there's a dot there. Should I include my +5? Yeah, there's a dot up there as well. So both of these are included. Now, I just want to make a quick comment about you guys doing this on your quiz. Your test is going to be on quizzes, or your quiz is going to be on quizzes. The reason why is because it's going to have a lot of pictures. Okay, and quizzes does a way better job of doing pictures than Kuta works. Okay. When you guys put this into your test, okay, and if you're not sure if you're doing it right, please raise your hand when you're taking the quiz so I can go and check for you. Okay, that you're putting the spacing right. When you put this into quizzes, don't use spaces, okay? In other words, you're going to literally just type your bracket -5, comma 6, parenthesis, and that's it. Don't put spaces in between. Because if you put spaces, it may not recognize your answer, and then it's going to mark it wrong. Okay? So no spaces. Just type it out. So this one you would put bracket -3, comma 5, bracket again. And that will mark it right. If you're not sure, just raise your hand. I'll go check. Okay, and I'll see if the spacing is correct, and then I'll tell you, okay, your spacing is good. Go ahead and submit it. Okay? Yeah, so tomorrow when you guys do this, just be careful. All right? Try not to get too creative. I've seen some kids, they would put in like a bracket, space, minus, space, 5, space, comma, space, 6, space, bracket. It's the same answer, but the program has no idea what you just put in, right? Computers, people say computers are really smart. No, they're not. They just take information in and they spit stuff out, right? They're robots, right? So it's us that have to make them work properly. So make sure you guys take the time with this thing, and you can draw it right now as we're done.